Hello there, and welcome back to St Albans. Oh, sorry if you can hear that wind. It is quite windy today. Unfortunately, we're in the middle of two pretty bad storms. One of the reasons that I've come down to the plot today is to check on the damage from last night. Luckily, there isn't too much. There's a little bit, but not too much. But we've got an even worse storm coming tomorrow. And if I don't do the filming today, today's Thursday, then I won't get this plot tour filmed in time for tomorrow, so I'm going to try and do it today, so I apologise if it's a bit windy, but yeah, it's quite sunny at least, and the light's pretty good, but it is windy today. Anyway, let's crack on with the tour before I get blown away. So here we are at the start of plot 12 in the middle of February. What has changed? So we've got some onions in now. We've been slowly moving some of the compost around from plot 79 and then laying it out to dry because it's been under flooded water for quite some time now, and then just straight into that compost we've put some onions. The squirrels have done a half decent job of pulling them out, but they seem to be okay, and that's just what these kind of grates are there for at the moment, just to kind of protect them a little bit. Not doing the best job, but it's a good makeshift solution for now, and then hopefully we'll be able to get some proper netting sorted out as well. And then next to that we have our garlic. The garlic's doing pretty well. I'm a bit concerned that I might have seen some allium leaf minor damage already, but other than that they're doing okay. They are handling the storms pretty well. I expected to see quite a few of these broken today, but they seem alright actually, considering. We'll see what happens tomorrow. It's meant to be pretty bad tomorrow. We weren't in a warning polygon where we are yesterday, and it was really bad, but tomorrow we are in an amber warning smack bang in the middle of it, so we'll see how well they do. But the elephant garlic there, still looking pretty good, and then the late plantings of the bulbs or the cloves, they are all coming up and looking pretty good now. We're considering putting another path here, even if it's not like an official one like with these ones, just because it's quite a big bed, and we need to be able to split it up, but we haven't done that yet. We'll decide on that. We've taken the celery out here, that was looking a bit tatty, and we need to just kind of get this area ready now for the upcoming season. We've redone the netting like multiple times, and all of the little plastic pots that we have on top to stop the netting from falling down, that has all come off in last night's storm, so I'm not even going to bother trying to fix that until after tomorrow. If we continue to do it like this, I think we want to get some heavier pots. So you can get some really cheap, or you used to be able to get some really cheap terracotta pots from Wilko's for about 70p, so we might get a few of those just for this purpose, because the heavier they are, the less likely they are to blow off, and they're a little bit bigger that way as well. But we are looking into some proper netting solutions as well. It's just really difficult on this plot because none of these beds are square. They kind of go off at an angle like that, so if we get one that fits this properly, it then won't fit something properly over there, and it won't fit down here, so a bit annoying. Maybe if we can find some sort of modular one. We've seen some metal ones, but they're quite expensive. The kales themselves actually are doing really well. I gave them a bit of a haircut the other day because the tops of them looked really tatty, where they'd been where the netting had been a bit too low and the pigeons had given them a good eating, but since cutting them off we've seen that there's quite a lot of these lovely side shoots in here, which I really like. I don't like the main leaves of kale, but I don't mind these, and this one particularly looks really nice, and the others are doing okay as well. So basically I've given them all a haircut and then just completely lopped the tops off to try and encourage these side shoots to grow a little bit more. Under here, I don't know why we have a thing on it, probably just to remind us where they are, but this is where the rest of the parsnips are. There's probably about this many of them left. They're quite difficult to see, but we do need to take them out soon, I think. These fences, we've now got these kind of hammered in, and it looks, so if I stand with my feet parallel to the edge of the grass, or perpendicular to the edge of the grass, it makes you can't see it very well on camera, but like the perspective of this feels all off, but it's actually obviously because this isn't straight with the front, or perpendicular with the front of the plot, but these are. So we used a drone to try and make them parallel with the front and the back of the plot, so that at least then these are straight, but it does kind of mess your head up a little bit when you're trying to sow straight rows into the beds here, because at the front here it's kind of off, as you can kind of see there with where the wire mesh is. It just makes it quite difficult, so figuring out the best way to handle that. I think as a temporary measure I might just run some string just to make it square, so it's very easy when you're sewing stuff, And then long term, maybe we'll put some wood in, and then we'll plant some like perennial stuff in the little triangles that will then form like lavender or daffodils and that kind of thing. In here we have broad beans. These haven't actually come up at all yet. I'm not sure why, because the ones that we did in modules there and some more that were outside but have since been moved into the greenhouse on plot 79, they've all come up now, but these ones haven't come up, and nor have these ones. A couple of weeds have though, which is great. But yeah, not sure if they've been eaten or if they just are taking a bit longer because the ground might be a bit colder, but we'll leave it for a little bit longer as well. Like if by the time the soil warms up they still haven't come up, I guess we'll just have to try again. But we have some more in modules, and I also have some more pre-sprouting at home to put in plot 79 as well, which I think might be the plan for plot 79 this year, is just put lots of beans and soil improving stuff in the ground, just all over the whole thing potentially. Anyway, so yeah, that is the broad bean bed. There's nothing in the middle yet. It will probably be more beans or peas or something. Haven't fully decided yet. And then we get to the back bit. So again, all of these fences are now hammered in. They should be individually level, but they're not level with each other because the hill is on a slight tilt, so it's quite difficult to get them completely level. But they do edge off the beds quite nicely. We know now where we're meant to plant stuff and where we're meant to avoid, and it helps Poppy, it helps guide Poppy as well. You may notice the string that's around the greenhouse. That's also not quite right, but that was there again to just kind of indicate to us where the big greenhouse is going to go, so we can try and avoid it and try and make sure that the paths are a decent size outside of where that's going to go. And then this gap here is bigger than the one at the back, and that's because we also have those metal water troughs that we need to move around as well and put in front of the big greenhouse when it comes, so there still needs to be a space in front of that for us to walk. And then at the back here we have now covered both of these two big beds with black weed membrane. It won't stay down, it's just to keep the weeds down while we're not using the beds. They're both quite big beds actually, and they're actually serving quite a good purpose at the moment because it gives us a lot of working space. So we were using these spaces to do a lot of the sanding for the workbenches in the shed, as well as pile up wood that we need to burn and break it down and stuff, and then all this dust and everything that kind of accumulates from breaking stuff down, then it's not actually in the soil. We can just kind of sweep it together and then burn it or put it in a compost bin or something. Anyway, yes, these big beds, they are great for now, but we have kind of got a plan to, if I go around this way, we've kind of got a plan to section them up a little bit more. So where this path comes down, we're considering extending it further down there, so we'll actually get a nice square bed here on each side. So it'll be a nice long square bed. It'll be the only square beds on this plot, but we'll probably use them for like dahlias and flowers and that kind of thing, which will be really nice to look at from within the shed. And then there'll be a path here, and then there'll be another big bed on either side for stuff like pumpkins or whatever we need really. Yes, and there's one of the last piles of wood to burn. So we've got, this is mainly what's left. So this was broken down from all the stuff that was at the back, which I'll show you in a minute. It's getting clear now. And there's a small pile there next to the incinerator as well. That's kind of it though, which is really nice. There's not much more to go. There's some laminated stuff at the back, which we're not particularly comfortable burning, so we'll have to take that to the tip. But for stuff that's burnable, this is kind of what's left now, which is really nice. We haven't done a lot more with here. There's a lot of stuff leaning up against the shed, partially just to store it, but partially to keep this plastic on during the storms as well, doing our best. Some of it, actually yesterday, the plastic itself was fine, but the solar panel kind of flew off, and I had anchored it down with a piece of string, but that snapped. So it was quite strong yesterday. But yeah, a bit nervous about what's going to happen tomorrow. So then at the back here, a couple more bits of wood actually that we need to chop up and burn. We're keeping stuff like this because that's quite useful for walking on the beds and stuff like that. But at the back here, this was, if you've seen the last plot tour I may have shown you, this was lots of piled up doors and wood and stuff that was kind of flat wood. That was all piled up here at the back, kind of out of the way, and to try and keep it dry. That has now mostly been burnt or dismantled. What's left of that is now just in that pile there. So there was a few doors and stuff, and then underneath that there were some metal sheets as well. Some of these big ones like this, these flat ones, they made up the roof of one of the sheds, and then there was a few of these corrugated metal pieces as well. We've got quite a few of those to give away. Some of them are in okay condition. I'm hoping somebody wants them, either on the site or on a reuse group locally or something. They would make pretty good fences. I've seen people use them as like fences, as barriers on their plot and stuff, so we could, if we really needed to, do it on the side. But if someone wants them, then they are more than welcome to have them for that. But this area is now starting to get nice and clear, so I can walk here. Poppy is a little bit safer coming back here now, so we can come back to the river. And then lately we've been putting in some bulbs. So we've had quite a lot of old bulbs from, I've lost them now, from the old house where we had them in pots and we've taken them out, and we've been meaning to put them in the ground, but we never got around to it. So they've already sprouted, which actually makes it quite easy because it means the squirrels and stuff are less likely to dig them up and eat them. So we've been putting them in here, and Poppy loves to sit on them and she loves to snuffle around them, but they are, I think at the moment, doing pretty well. And there's a few more dotted about. We have put some more bulbs in, but it's really hard to find them, especially under all this like old ivy and all the bracken and stuff. But hopefully once this is all clear, we can make it really nice. I've also been sprinkling poppy seeds and like just wild sweet pea seeds, and I don't know if there's such a thing as wild sweet pea, but you know, just like throwing them around, some of the saved seed, and then if they come up, then great. The poppies should, at least at some point as well, and then it might look really nice back here. And we obviously want to move all of this stuff back, and eventually we'll have a nice seating area under here, where we can overlook the river, get some shade in the summer, and it should be really nice. There's a lot more rubbish here. Well, some of it's rubbish. So these old sleepers, they are rotten from the old greenhouse base on this plot, but we want to try and use them. They're kind of usable for now. They're still quite heavy, so we can use them as edging or something for maybe another couple of years. And then there's just some tarp and just some old bits and bobs. We need to try and tidy this a bit, but now that we've got rid of a lot of that wood, we have a lot more space to move stuff. I don't know why really we just put this old water butt here, right smack bang in the middle. We could have done that a lot tidier, but luckily, well, we put it here to lean the glass up against, but I still don't know why we did it right here. I guess that's all the space that we had at the time. But all the glass, this is all spare glass that was just found on this plot. Luckily, none of that has actually broken in the last storms, which is great. I was a bit worried that we'd have all this glass that we'd have to clear up. And it seems to be okay. I guess once you've got lots of it leaning up against it like that, it's quite heavy at that point, so I guess it's quite difficult for the wind to catch it. And this glass here, this is all glass that we've taken out from the little greenhouse on this plot, so that doesn't have any glass in it still. There's no point putting the glass back in if we're going to move the other greenhouse. We just have to hope that we can move the greenhouse in time for the season. The water has started to go down quite rapidly actually on plot 79, so hopefully we'll be able to. There's even more rubbish and glass, so you can see all this glass down here. Some of that might actually just be spare glass, but most of this should be from that little greenhouse. Some more rubbish to get rid of. This just needs to go down the tip. It looks like a lot, but it's not really. These bags aren't even all rubbish. Some of them just have pots in that we found, so we can either give those away or keep them. There's just a few bits and bobs like this, but this is all quite easy to take down to the tip. And although some of these water butts are broken, I'm assuming somebody will want them. I've seen people use them for carrots and that kind of thing, so I really don't think we'll have too much of trouble getting rid of those. And again, we can just put a couple of those in the car at a time and take them down to the tip. More stuff that needs tidying. Yeah, this is the nice edged, well, it's looking a bit muddy and gross, but the nice edged reclaimed or reinstated shared path that Sergio's been edging. The big table that we need to fix, but I'm not going to bother fixing it until the wood is nice and dry, because it needs putting back together, and then I'm going to put some metal fixing brackets underneath to stop it from happening again. But I really love it, and I really want to find a nice permanent home for it, which will probably end up being on this plot now. What else we got? So the shed itself, it's a bit of a mess in there at the minute because we've put some stuff in there out of the way of the storm, and we still haven't finished tidying. Oh, sorry. So there's a few bits and bobs in here. The hinge already creaks despite it only being a few weeks old. But we've now made the workbenches in here, so this is starting to turn into our kind of kitchen / potting up area. We haven't got any shelves underneath, so we still need this one for now. But yeah, these are all homemade. These are reclaimed scaffolding boards. I'm going to be doing a video on how we made these properly. But basically they're reclaimed scaffolding boards that we get from the recycling place, the wood recycling place nearby. These are just 80 centimetre posts that we got from B&Q, and then they're just attached with these quite sturdy metal brackets. We specifically looked for some that couldn't be bent easily, but they're pretty good, you know. It makes it feel a lot better in here, even though there's a lot of stuff here. Like a lot of this is bulbs. This goes back into the communal shed at some point when we finish using it, and then that will be gone. And then along here, hopefully there will be pegboard or something similar, and that's where we can hang all of our tools. So this won't be here, there'll be shelving underneath. And then long term, it'd be nice to get some cupboard doors on there, some shelves above, shelves or pegboard here, and then it will be pretty good in here. We've got some new flooring in here as well. This is like some foam stuff, partially for insulation, so that it's not super cold in here when you're in here, because it can get quite cold, especially with the slabs that are underneath this base. But also partially just to keep the wood a little bit protected from where things get wet, or just the amount of mud that we're constantly bringing in and out. We still obviously need to do the felting of the roof, but that is a spring job. It's certainly not a winter stormy job to do. Let me close these up. So yesterday I also had this slab just propped up against it, just in case for some reason the polythene comes off of this and blows the door open or rips the door off or anything like that. I'll probably be doing the same again later today, ready for tomorrow. There's lots of stuff weighing down the polythene on each side, which worked pretty well yesterday. So it looks really messy, but hopefully after tomorrow we'll be able to leave it, or take it up, sorry. And I've now wedged the solar panel between that slab and that log, and underneath the shiplap stuff there. This completely broke yesterday, so I'm not holding out hope that will have any effect tomorrow. But it seems fine. I'm assuming this is acrylic, because this has fallen over quite a few times, and although a bit really dirty now, it's not actually scratched or anything. It certainly hasn't cracked, so I'm assuming that's made out of acrylic, which is good for us. This weed stuff was all down just to kind of mean we had somewhere, just so we had somewhere to walk that wasn't super muddy. It's not very good as a light excluder, so the weeds do still grow underneath. So it's not for that, it's mostly just so that we don't have to constantly keep walking on mud during the winter. I'm not sure if we'll leave it down when we do wood chip, probably not, because I know how awful it is when weeds start to grow through this stuff. But there is also some stuff under the shed on plot 79 that didn't have any weeds growing through it, and it was down for quite a few years, so it might be okay. So in the greenhouse, there are some bulbs under this netting, this greenhouse shading netting. And they are doing okay, but they kind of got a little bit attacked by the squirrels before we netted them. Some more bulbs there, the broad beans, the rhubarb which we saved from over there, and some raspberry canes. They're kind of just sitting in here, just out of the way a little bit really, but we'll do something with them eventually. And then down here we have some radishes. So they've actually just started to come up. I'm surprised they haven't been eaten by slugs, because I saw quite a lot of slugs yesterday, but these are all radishes that are coming up. Might be 4 rows of those, just as some sort of an early crop if they come up. It doesn't really matter if they don't. And then next to that I have sown some spinach, which was on our sowing plan for this month last week, and then the rest of this has just been dug over by Sergio recently. We probably should cover it if we're not going to put anything in it, because I think we don't have a lot of stuff left in our sowing plan that can go outdoors, so probably we're going to need to cover some of these beds. If the water keeps going down on plot 79 though, I'll be able to get some of the covers that have been underwater and then move some of them around here. So then, yeah, this is the other pile of wood that's left. So it's just that and that stuff over there left to burn. Our incinerator has definitely seen better days. I think this is the definition of being on your last legs. So I think this will be the last season that we get out of this thing. It's done us really proud. It's been underwater on plot 79, like right above it for months. And we've been burning a lot of stuff in there, and it gets extremely hot in there. So it's done us pretty well. So I don't really mind buying a new one, and we're probably not going to need one this big ever again. Hopefully, famous last words, but hopefully we never need to start a whole new plot from scratch again, so hopefully there won't be loads of stuff to burn, and it will just be things like brambles and stuff that we need to get rid of, which will be a novelty. And then we are back to the front where our onions are. So there's nothing here, obviously, because this is just where we've been deciding to burn stuff, but we've been slowly putting compost down. And again, we're probably going to need to cover it once it is composted, until we decide what to put in it. At the front of these two beds are probably going to be things like, it's difficult to say actually, but definitely at the front here, this is all going to be allium, so probably the leeks and stuff will go here as well, but we're going to need some space for brassicas, but I don't really want to put it back in that bed. Although the kale has been fine, the the sprouts, sorry, that we had in there did get clubroot, so probably put them somewhere else this year. Although I did get a clubroot resistant variety of cabbage to try this year, so maybe we can still do it in the same space. Anyway, that is plot 12. There we are. That is plot 12, mid-February. I hope it wasn't too windy for you. Apologies if it was, but if I didn't get it done today, I never would. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress. It's starting to look really good here. It would be nice if we didn't have to just constantly feel like we are battling with the weather all the time, but hopefully soon it will start to improve and we can get cracking with growing stuff. Anyway, that's it for today's video. So from me, Sergio and Poppy, take the very best of care, and we'll see you again soon. And good luck if you are in the amber warning tomorrow. Hopefully it's not so bad.